Welcome to the world, no heroes and villains. Welcome to the war, we've only begun. So pick up your weapon and face it. There's blood on the ground, go and take it. You get one shot to make it out alive. So higher and higher you're chasing. It's deep in your bones, go and take it. This is your moment, now is your time. So prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. Welcome to the climb up, reach for the summit. Visions brave and one false step lead the end. So higher and higher you're chasing. It's deep in your blood, go and take it. This is your moment. Take to the skies, go. Prove yourself and rise, rise. Make them remember you. Push through heaven. Rise, rise. They will remember you. It is you fight among the dead beneath the dirt. But do you know yet? They will remember you.
24 teams have become 16, and over the next weeks, they'll fight to raise the Summoners Cup as we embark onto the road to the championship, starting with KT Rolster versus Team Liquid. Welcome to World's Countdown, where for 30 minutes we introduce you to the teams competing in the group stage and share some names to know until the timer reaches 0 and we jump into Champion Select. I'm James Dash Patterson, kicking off the group stages alongside Indiana Frosker in black, Jake Spawn Tiberi, and Joshua Jat Leesman. That's right, 3 analysts for the group stage here at Worlds, because if the play-ins were any indication, the games are only going to get better. They're only going to get hotter and more action-packed than they were then. How are you guys feeling coming into these 8 days?
I mean, the sleep schedule was a little bit of a teeter-totter to get used to, but I'm actually really amped right now. I didn't think I was going to be, like, sleepy, and now suddenly, like, countdown hit 0, and I'm ready.
I am full of energy.
I mean, the play-ins to me were surprisingly competitive, and knowing that the best teams from play-in are slotting into usually being underdogs in groups just makes me excited for the quality of play we're going to see.
And I think the relative strength is where it becomes interesting, right? Because we had 2 teams in G2 and Cloud9 that were elevating in their own region and did seem to falter during play-in. So now it becomes like, what does the relative strength of each of these regions look like as they stack up against each other?
I think it was something that was dropped during the play-in coverage, but the idea that if you were to look at the results of the play-ins only, it might be a little disappointing in the fact that, oh, the favorites were the ones, in a sense, who moved on. But you really have to go back and look at those games and look at the competitiveness, rather, of that stage to understand how all of these teams and regions are performing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It wasn't just about the best-of-1 stage, because you always expect that there's going to be some upsets in a best-of-1 double round-robin group format like that. But in the best-of-5, how competitive our emerging regions were, I think that was the real, true success story, especially for teams like Gambit.
Well, the play-ins have brought us to where we are today, and while this squad is bringing you the action here, our 15 partners from all corners of the world are following the action to hit fans across the globe.
Yeah, it just reminds you how global this sport really is. All the different regions, all the different fan bases coming to play, every single one of them behind their team, right? We have so many different regions here in the group stage.
The representation here on this stage is quite widespread, and we hope to keep it so. Last weekend, 4 teams secured a spot at the group stage, and even though the favorites advanced in the end, it was a lot tougher than many people expected it to be.
And I think you have to kick it off with the Cloud9 series. I don't think coming out of the best of ones, anyone expected Gambit to put up the fight that they were able to. Cloud9 did falter across the map in certain areas as well. And I think the fact that that came down to 5 games, in the end, it was victorious for the Cloud9 lineup. But even individuals at the end of it, you know, most notably, Jensen did look shaky as that series progressed.
Yeah, and it wasn't just about Cloud9 versus Gambit, also Infinity versus G2. I mean, there was some really tense moment there for European fans. It felt like the only really decisive best of 5 was Detonation Focus Me versus Edward Gaming.
Right, yeah. That was the only 3-0 of that stage. Of course, we're looking at Supermassive and Infinity, who challenged both G-Rex and G2, although fell short. So again, just speaking to the competitiveness, rather, of that stage. Now, as a reminder, in the group stage, the teams will play 6 games in a double round robin, with the top 2 from each group advancing to the quarterfinals as the first and second seed. Let's get a quick rundown of the groups. In Group A, we have Flash Wolves, Afreeca Freecs, Phong, Buffalo, and G2. Let's talk about this set of teams.
For me, looking at Group A, I actually think it's kind of the true group of death, if you will. I mean, the idea is it's supposed to mean that there are not enough spots for how competitive the group can be. Whereas most people look at Group B, they see the likes of Gen.G, they see the likes of Gen.G, and they're like, that's group of death for the Western teams. And while that may be true, Group A, we don't know the power level of Flash Wolves and PvB. They could be very surprising. And then when you throw that into the mix, we don't know what type of form Afreeca is going to come in or anything like that.
And that's what I was going to say. Even if you do know the relative power level of these teams, you don't know how they're going to turn up on the international stage, because we have seen such varying performance from the LMS and from now the VCS as they come into these tournaments. So I'm excited to see whether, you know, they are good teams, but can they bring it when it counts in best of ones is a different question.
Yeah, and I'm just impressed with the overall strength of the groups. Whether or not you have a different definition of what group of death means, I think the strongest groups in terms of relative power are groups B and C. Those are the 2 groups that have the Chinese and Korean teams, which are historically the best teams in the group stage. Korean teams have an 81% all-time game win rate in group stage since 2014. That is absurd, and Korean teams have never failed to advance from a group stage. So from a Western team perspective, as Frost mentioned, 3 out of the 10 Western teams that have been put into Korea-China groups that are B and C have advanced. So those are insane groups, especially when you have good teams in there.
So Group A feels like it could be anyone's, depending on how these initial matches go. Group B, Group C, a little bit more decided, top-heavy. What about Group D, the only group we haven't talked about? That's Fnatic, 100 Thieves, Invictus, and G-Rex.
I mean, I talked about this on Euphoria, but I actually feel that this is the group in terms of if you're trying to find a Western hope. Most people are grabbing hold of Fnatic just because of the shakedown of the draw. I don't know what form Invictus Gaming is going to come in. When it comes to clutch, you talked about we don't know how these teams perform on an international stage. I've got plenty of footage of IG on an international stage where they just choke and crash and burn. So there's a very real possibility that Fnatic not just exit this group, but exit this group in first.
Yeah, I think it's a definite possibility with no Korean team. I do have to clarify what I just said. It's since 2014, since we've gone to this 4-team, 4-group format, that a Korean team hasn't made it out. There was a Korean team that failed groups in 2013, but Group D is, to me, a little bit of the group of life as far as who could potentially get out. That group, although I'm not expecting it to happen, shares extremely high similarities with the TSM Misfits group that we had last year, with the final team there also being an LMS team, the exact same 4 regions, as well as the Great Western Hope in one of the same groups.
All right, well, with the groups fresh in our minds, I just want to approach the conversation of favorites as we usually do around the World Championship. I think most people would be quick to say that both the LCK champion in KT Rolster and the LPL champion in Gen.G are by far and away the 2 favorites here in the tournament. So while we deliberate on this, I want you at home to voice your opinion as well. Do you favor Gen.G, KT, or any other team in the tournament, otherwise known as the field? So you're taking one team, another team, or 14 teams. You make your pick.
So strange. TSM suddenly seems to be winning a lot.
I'm going to pick KT.
You're going to pick KT.
And I know there is a lot of Gen.G hype coming in, and I know that the field could also be an attractive choice. But as far as dominant Korean teams at Worlds, they have won the past 5 World Championships, and Korea team versus Korea team has been a final 3 years in a row. And KT is the best Korean team that was the super team that was supposed to be here last year. I feel like they finally put it all together this year, finishing first in the summer split, winning the summer split title. They play through top, they play through bottom. They have a great center of the map as well with a shoving young mid laner and an extremely experienced, probably best jungler in the world, Score. So I love KT coming into this tournament. I don't think they're destined to win, but I do think they are my favorites.
And it is hard to argue with history sometimes when it comes to the Korean teams and how they perform at the World Championship. Frost, what are you thinking?
I mean, it's definitely the safest answer, and I do agree with every point that Jet made. As the Chinese representative, I'm going to say that I think that RNG must be looked at, and I have them favorites. I think especially if it goes to a best-of-5 fifth game, anytime Uzi is in that situation, he has won this year. They have won 99% of the things that they have attended. He just needs to grab that world's crown. It's actually
They played 99 tournaments this
year.
year?
As soon as I said it, I was like, no, Jet, don't do it. No, but they call it the Golden Rain.
Somewhere in there.
They call it the Golden Rain. I'm going to call it the Golden Road, and it's this idea of winning spring, summer, MSI, Rift Rivals, and now the final crown of Worlds.
And I think you're both just making a critical error, because that's a lot of excitement for KT, and that is a lot of faith in consistency out of a Chinese team coming into a tournament.
All right, Spawn.
I'm going to take the field. When you have teams like Gen.G, returning world champions, they've made back-to-back finals, Afreeca, if you got them in a quarter, I think every single team in this, Worlds tournament would be very disappointed, because they're going to be a tough opponent. And whilst they have not shown it yet, IG, when they are in form, have been able to kick some butt. In the LPL, we'll see whether they're able to bring it, but I just think the field has so many attractive options. And then you go into, true wildcards, like people like TL. Can they bring it together? People like Fnatic, are they able to make a run? I just think there's some dangerous teams here that, could be able to knock some people out. And as soon as people start getting knocked out, then you got a shot.
I mean, taking a look at the fan voting right now,
some smart people in Twitch chat
actually does agree with Spawn here. Although I must say, in more of an informal note, that TSM actually came out on top in the voting. We just didn't have the program's tracking the TSM votes, so. Informal winner, Team Solomon.
Just as I'm about to compliment the people of Twitch chat, this happens.
Yeah, right.
That's what you have to throw out.
And then they throw their credibility out the window like that. What's your thought here? What was the response you were kind of?
I was just saying he's flaming me for having consistency in the Chinese team. The second name out of your mouth was Invictus Gaming.
Spawn gets to have Invictus. He gets to have Gen.G. He gets to have Afreeca. He gets to have Fnatic.
And
he gets to have Liquid, Flash Wolves.
Yeah.
Had to sneak that in there.
Yeah, Liquid, Flash Wolves.
I get some good ones, but I think the thing is, right, is that IG have been inconsistent. So now they're going to bring their consistency to this tournament.
Oh, they've already blown it.
And RNG will do the opposite.
The flip side,
fair
I'd just like to say, only one person on this desk has won the prediction pineapple 2 splits in a row.
That's
so
true.
KT.
That's my pineapple.
From MSI, I won it in
All
separate
hail.
Yeah, but we'll see.
All hail Jet. Prediction King. Now, on that note, let's check out what we've got coming up on day one here, where we start with a clash between Team Liquid and KT Rolster. From there, EDG look to continue their solid form against Mad Team before the teams in Group A take to the stage. In our last 2 games, we'll get the first look at reigning champions of MSI, RNG, and the winners from last year's Worlds, Gen.G, formerly Samsung Galaxy, as they face off against Cloud9 and Vitality, respectively. When we return, we hear from Team Liquid about the uphill battle in Game 1, and we go over some little-known names coming into Day 1 of groups. As we go to break, though, here's a video that tracks the career of one of NA's most prolific players. Welcome back to World's Countdown, where we're about 15 minutes away from the opening ceremony. Chef Tom Kench there in attendance himself in Busan, getting a glimpse of the stage that the players will be taking to in not so long. And as we count down to the first day of groups, we also want to introduce some names that you should know ahead of the action. For day one of groups, those names are Mad Team's jungler Kongyu, Phong Buffalo's top laner Zeros, and Afreeca Freecs' top laner Keen. First up, Mad Team's Kongyu.
Yeah, Kongyu is the player on this lineup to watch. Jungler, plays a lot of high-tempo junglers, expecting to pull out Trundle, Olaf, be able to run over the enemy jungler. The reason this is so important for this team is their solo lane is not so great at the moment. So I'm expecting him to play heavily around the bottom side of the map. If he's able to allow Uniboy to push in and leave lane, that is a big plus for this lineup. And I think that most of the victories that I was able to watch where they looked good, he was able to get a lot of jungle control in the earlier stages of the game. Think, 8 to 15 minute mark and open up the map for his team.
And chat, what a group to be a jungler in, right? It's set up to be quite a show.
Yeah, especially having to go up against Score in some of these games. I do think you could classify Mad Team as a jungle-focused team. Yep. Some teams are bot or top-focused. This one is jungle-focused, and as a jungler, that's always fun to watch.
Yeah, very much so. Next up, let's talk about Phong Buffalo's Zeros.
So Zeros up on the top side is a carry-oriented top laner, which fits perfectly right now in this meta. We not only have some tweaks to Fiora, but Urgot's been running rampant, and this guy can certainly make an impact on those two champions. Now, what is really inspiring about PvV, and I've looked at a lot of their games, they play very clean, standard League of Legends, a bit closer to EVOS than, say, the Gigabyte Marines in terms of play style. And with a top laner like him, they can play a side lane rather effectively, which you usually don't expect from kind of these emerging region teams. You expect them not to have that coordination to group up as a big 5v5 and just try to roll into teams, but they can play a side lane no problem.
Yeah, and I agree with you. They have a lot of kills, but in some cases it's just punishing mistakes, and they don't necessarily have to bring their whole team to 5v5 team fights anymore. So I think it does weigh more towards a global meta in that regard.
Yeah, and there's so many amazing top laners in that group, which is why I'm also watching Keen, who's in the same group, as well as Wonder being in this group. But this guy, as the most important player to the #2 seed of Korea, has had an amazing year, ranking him 4th in our top 20 players at Worlds. He has 20 solo kills, which is the most in the LCK. He has 25% of his team's overall kills, and that's with a jungle proximity that is -2.2%, which means the enemy jungler actually goes top lane more than Spirit, his own jungler, does. So this guy does an extreme amount of work and is extremely good, which is why I can't wait to see him.
Building advantages in the face of adversity, and while we talk about kind of the openness of Group A, or at least how difficult it is to put a finger on maybe, pure favorites for the two to get out, you're looking at players like Keen, right, in the top lane, like Zeros in the top lane, as playmakers for their team to be the difference between a third-place finish and a second and first-place finish in groups.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing around Keen is if you isolate him, he wins you the game. So you don't have to get a jungler up there. In some situations, it's actually better for him to draw some pressure and allow people like Spirit and Koro to have free access to the rest of the map, because he just deals with it so beautifully for a young player.
A few names for you to keep your eyes on while we narrow our focus in on Game 1. We asked Team Liquid's coach Kane about the practice for Worlds and how it's all about finding their own play style.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Team Liquid's Coach Kane, and it's been a while since we've seen Team Liquid take the trophy in Oakland, so how's preparation for Worlds been going?
네, 그게 팀 리그를 본 지가 거의 NELCS를 우승해서 좀 됐잖아요. 이번에 롤드컵 때 준비가 어떻게 되고 있었어요?
일단 저희가 이제 결승 끝나고 나서 조금 휴가를 조금 가지고 바로 한국으로 와서 이제 부트캠프 하면서 준비를 했어요. 그래서 되게 다양한 팀, 한국 팀들, 중국 팀들, 아니면 대만 팀들이랑 연습을 많이 했었는데 그 과정에서 이제 저희가 잘하는, 저희가 자신 있는 약간 챔피언, 그리고 저희가 자신 있는 스타일대로 약간 준비를 하려고 많이 노력을 했었죠.
So after winning the championships, we took some time off and then immediately came to Korea around 3 weeks ago, where we were practicing with like a lot of the Korean teams and the Chinese teams, and basically picking on our unique play styles and practicing that.
And here's hoping to the preparation paying off, because you guys are the first game of the day, and it's a big one since you're against the LCK's #1 seed, KT Rolster. So how is Team Liquid going to pull off this win?
그 이번 팀 리굿이 오늘 첫 경기하고 그 이제만 KT 로스를 같이 만날 거잖아요. 그래서 이 팀 리굿을 어떻게를 이길 수 있을까요?
이제 말씀하신 대로 이제 KT가 이제 LCK 챔피언이고 이제 굉장히 강한 팀이고 그래서 사실 저희도 약간 긴장을 많이 하는 것 같아요. 선수들 지금 봐서는. 근데 일단 저희가 준비한 대로 어떤 약간 초반부터 좀 강하게 몰아치는 식으로 한번 해보고 준비를 좀 했어요. 네.
So KT roster is definitely a very strong team. We're going to continue to like practice our own styles. Just keep at it because that's what we're going to be good at.
Well, Kane, thank you, and we're wishing you the best of luck. That's it for us here. Back to you.
Keeping their eyes on KT. They know it's an uphill battle, but one they feel prepared for. Let's take a closer look at this first game of groups. NALCS champions Team Liquid versus LCK champions in KT Rolster. Already a lot of people's tournament favorite. Team Liquid have been a dominant force in their region this year, but now they're being tested from the get-go as they face off against the Titans from Korea.
And I think maybe you can take some solace in the fact that they're not alone. I mean, you're facing RNG, Gen.G, KT Rolster. Today for the Western teams, it is just a really rough day, but it feels like we're stepping out of the boxing ring and into a cage match with a grizzly bear. Like, it doesn't get harder than this for TL.
How did I get here?
It's a massive fight right off the bat. Doublelift does believe that underdogs can harness some advantage going into these matches, so they're going to have to try and harness that power today. And listen, it's a team that puts everything through Doublelift and everything through bottom lane. They usually play a defensive top side. Pobelter tries to split or get push in lane so he can move bottom lane, but they win by controlling vision, winning the 2v2, and playing through Doublelift in team fights, and that was getting them to multiple 3-0 finals in spring and summer to be the #1 seed here for North America.
See, you say that's how they win games, and I watched a lot of their games, and it just seems like they kind of fumble their way through the mid game and then crush people in late game team fighting. And what we've seen historically from Marta versus Doublelift is if he fumbles one team fight, Marta just makes him pay over and over again. And that makes me a little bit nervous for this Team Liquid lineup because you can't afford to make, early to mid-game mistakes if you expect to be able to claw your way back in. There is no clawing your way back in against a team like KT.
All right, some iconic moments between those two players themselves. On the other side, as you mentioned, you've got KT, one of the favorites to not just finish at the top of their group, but to win the whole dang thing. So again, while we talk about the matchup and the uphill battle for this squad, we have to remember the names on this roster and how they were put together for exactly this moment, falling short last year, hoping to come back even stronger this time around.
I mean, it's legacy, history, statistics, and every single metric that you can measure. This team are giants. They didn't come to compete. They came here to win. They were designed for this tournament around score, and they are just as dominant.
And they're here a year late based on their own expectations.
Right.
So a lot of people actually expected them to break up when they failed to get to Worlds last year, but they stuck together. They got Score his first domestic title after playing in Korea for 6+ years. So it is cathartic for them to get here, but there's the potential that it's maybe going to be a little bit rusty because they have played one best-of-5 in the past 2 months, and that was the final they played over in the LCK. So that is the fear for KT. I look at their roster. It's full of experience. It's full of talent.
It's also kind of the expectations and the pressure. This is the World Championship inside Korea. Kingzone is no longer here, but you also don't have SKT. It's just Gen.G, formerly known as Samsung, but it's really Score who has to hold this mantle with all of those expectations on him. And KT Rolster, fans of them know that it can be a bit of a roller coaster.
So is this the best opportunity for KT to be upset, is actually here in game one?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is, because I think that what's going to happen is we're going to see a conflicting meta style because there has been no games to really draw on what meta will be. And I think that they will be under significant pressure right now. We keep saying it, but Worlds in Korea with maybe a Chinese favorite, if you do back RNG in that regard. This is the team that everyone expects to come out and make a statement game.
Right.
And we've already highlighted the crucialness of the early game for team fighting teams. If Team Liquid can get it in their favor, they do have a situation where they run over this game.
And there's also that really interesting thing where a lot of people, and do not get me wrong, this is heavy favorite to KT Rolster, but a lot of people didn't expect TL to take down RNG at MSI. RNG,
right.
That wasn't they had time to warm up, but the thing is that they did it through the bottom lane. Like, if you gave Doublelift to say, you're going to have the winning bot lane matchup, you can actually win in the lane phase. They played the early game. They crushed it through the mid game. Like, the blueprint is there that TL can upset these giants.
Right. At the end of the day, anything can happen in groups. We've seen it before, right? And so we can't rule out any possibilities. But I always come back to this idea that when we look at two teams that maybe fill or check a lot of the same boxes as the team they're up against, the odds get even worse, right? The idea that, well, if we play the same style and you just play it better than me, there's almost nowhere that I can necessarily over-index or outperform in order to beat.
Well, it's interesting because I don't think they necessarily play the same style. I think KT definitely puts a lot of resources through the top lane, and Smeb has the best CSD at 15 of all top laners in Korea, and they still get contribution from their bottom lane, but I think KT has a much more balanced attack than Team Liquid has. It's a bad stylistic matchup for Team Liquid, in my opinion, because Deft and Mata do match up so well with the strength of Team Liquid and then over-index on the rest of the map.
I love that you jumped to the top lane because despite feeling confident going into Game 1, KT Rolster's Smeb is coming into his top lane matchup with a lot of respect for his opponent.
북미 쪽이 이제 조금 약하다는 이런 얘기들이 많았었는데 저는 북미의 1시드 팀은 항상 잘했다고 생각하거든요. 그래서 팀 리퀴드도 굉장히 잘할 것 같고 임팩트 선수는 좀 대단한 것 같아요. 이제 타지에 가서 이렇게 너무 잘 적응하고 팀에 잘 어울리는 모습을 보니까 너무 대단한 것 같아요.
You know, and it's something to consider how Impact shows up at World Championships, right? We've had this conversation in the past when he was on Cloud9 coming in. Hey, he hasn't looked so hot throughout the year, and this is definitely not a World Championship, caliber Impact like he has been in the past. And then he does show up in hard carry games. So there's going to be a lot of eyes pointing at that top lane.
It's one of those things. Form is temporary, class is forever, and Impact is a classy player. Like, you can say whatever you want about his recent performances, but historically, this guy has been world class.
There are certain picks that he can gravitate to band-aid himself in this meta right now. Sion's still very capable. He can go towards the Ornn. So as long as Impact is grabbing these comfort picks, more so the tanks, the engage tools, then I have total faith that he'll be okay against Smeb. But if he tries to go carry to carry, I think it's all going to burn down very quickly.
If you watch the NALCS finals, you do not give Sion to Impact because it was disgusting what he was doing to Cloud9 with that pick. As we are just minutes away from the opening ceremony, I want to get some predictions for Game 1. So, down the line, starting with you, Frosker, in Game 1, a group stage, who's taking it? KT or TL?
Now, I'm going to say...
Don't answer too quick.
I know. I'm going to say KT. I think it's about 75-25 right now. But again, I find it more interesting, this idea of the blueprint being there. If TL win, what actually happened? I think you can actually bait Deft Mata towards a scaling pick, something like the Kai'Sa, prioritize having that bottom lane, and then just make sure that Impact doesn't get blown apart by Smeb. I think that's the one part of the map that you really need to protect. But we've seen it against RNG, TL at MSI, and I think that there is a possibility that it happens day 1, Game 1 of this tournament.
It's tough. I mean, we keep talking about the upset, and that's because it is an upset. I mean, if you want to give it a weighting, it's like a 65-35, somewhere around there for me. I think that the only thing that we can say is that maybe the meta will evolve in a way that we didn't expect. And we saw a couple of the playing teams say, we didn't see it going this way. I thought we were going to see a lot more aggression out of the jungle position and some things change, and I expect it to still go back towards that. So maybe a meta misread might hurt them. Maybe, the fact that they haven't played for all that long. But I think that, you have to go away from this and say if KT lose this game, they will be very disappointed at their start of Worlds. And maybe we'll get scarier as it goes on.
2 votes for KT here. No surprise necessarily. Jat, what are you thinking?
I mean, I hear the percentages that you guys are saying. 65-35 for KT. I just want to be real. Like, you have to understand who is in this game. We have a historically great Korean top laner in this matchup. We have an amazing bottom lane that can be played through. I'm talking about Smeb, Deft, and Mata. An early game for KT Rolster. They are 27-4 when they have an early game lead. And TL is not great in the early game where KT is. So what do you expect? I'm not a biased analyst right here. It's KT Rolster. I think 80-20.
Thank you very much for that, Jat. 3-0 predictions for KT across the board here on the analyst desk to kick it off.
I mean, how can you argue with the facts like that?
Right, he threw some numbers at me, and if I've learned anything from my time with Jat, it's to believe in the stats, and that they're usually right where I'm not. Ladies and gentlemen, countdown on the clock, 20 seconds to game time and the kickoff of the group stages. With that, it's just about time for us to hand it over to the arena for the opening ceremony.
전 세계 리그 오브 레전드 플레이어 여러분, 4년 만에 2018 월드 챔피언십으로 다시 찾은 이것을 날려버려도 되겠습니까? 좋습니다. 알아가보도록 하죠. 자, 매년 월드 챔피언십에 전 세계 16개 팀, 최고의 팀들이 그룹 스테이지에 모이게 됩니다. 그 팀들은 소환사컵을 들어올린다는 큰 꿈을 이루기 위해 모든 것을 희생합니다. 그렇기 때문에 그 여정은 당연히 힘들고 또 길 수밖에 없습니다. 하지만 끝까지 잘 견뎌낸 한 팀만이 소환사컵을 들어올 수 있는 그 영광을 차지하게 됩니다. 오늘 이렇게 부산에서 멋진 무대가 마련됐고 전 세계 각국을 대표하는 LOL 최고 팀들의 목표는 당연히 부산 거쳐 광주 진화, 그래서 11월 3일 인천문학경기장 파이널에 가는 것입니다. 자, 그 길고도 험난하지만 영광스러운 월드 챔피언십 그룹 스테이지의 그 긴 질주를 지금부터 시작합니다. 젠지의 앰비션, 그리고 이 선수들이 소환사컵을 반납했습니다. 이제 이 소환사컵의 주인공이 누가 될진 아무도 모릅니다. 방금 전까지는 젠지의 것이었습니다만, 자, 그러면 지난 1년 멋진 플레이를 보여준 디펜딩 챔피언 앰비션과 젠지의 선수들에게 다시 한번 큰 응원의 박수를 부탁드립니다.
First ever two-time world champions! The SKT reign continues! They win their third world championship! All hail the new king! Samsung Galaxy, their 2017 world champions!
자, 이제 그룹 스테이지에 나서게 될 16개 팀, 전 세계 최고의 팀들 여러분께 소개해드리기 전에 1년 동안 4년 만에 한국에 돌아온 이 서머너스컵을 한번 여러분 살펴보시죠. 아, 탐납니다. 네. 어이구, 여기 앰비션의 지문이 묻었네. 깨끗하게 잘 닦아야지, 잘 닦아야지. 앰비션이 아주 지문이에요. 네. 이 소환사컵에 키스하고 페이커가 탄생을 했고, 뱅이 탄생했고, 그리고 룰러, 앰비션, 마타가 탄생했습니다. 다른 선수도 마찬가지겠습니다만, 과연 올해의 주인공은 누구일지, 우지일지, 더블리프트일지, 캡스일지, 아니면 다시 한번 LCK일지 지켜보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 그러면 이제 진짜 여러분께 그룹 스테이지에서 만나볼 그 팀들을 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다. 16개 대표팀의 주장을 여러분께 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 그룹 A입니다. 그룹 A, 퐁부 버팔로 나우. 두 번째, 지트 e스포츠 팍즈. 세 번째, 아프리카 프릭스의 길. A조 마지막 프레시 울브스의 소드! 이제 그룹 B로 넘어가도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 C9의 스니키! 팀 바이탈리티의 지주케! 세 번째 Gen.G의 앰비션! 마지막으로 로얄 네버 기브업의 우지! 이제 세 번째 그룹 C로 넘어가 보도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 매드팀의 K! 이어서 KT 롤스터의 스코어! 다음으로 EDG의 메이커! 끝으로 팀 리퀴드의 더블 리프트! 아, 이거 재밌네요. 하다 보니까 이거. 네. 자, 마지막 그룹 D를 만나보도록 하겠습니다. 그룹 D G렉스의 스티치! 다음으로 헌드레드 시우스의 앞으로 문! 세 번째 IG의 르키! 마지막 프라틱의 캡스! 자, 이렇게 16개 팀의 주장들을 모두 만나봤어요. 여러분, 다시 한번 이 선수들의 후회 없는 멋진 경기를 할 수 있도록 큰 응원의 박수를 부탁드립니다.
LCK가 월드에서 결승에 가지 못한 대회는 단 한 번밖에 없습니다. 바로 시즌 1인데요. 왜냐? 한국이 출전하지 않았기 때문입니다. 두 번째 대회에서는 준우승 차지했고요. 세 번째 대회 2014년 우승, 네 번째 대회 한국에서 우승. 그 다음부터 계속 우승입니다. 그런데 그것도 다 LCK 대 LCK. 다른 지역 팬들에게 좀 위안거리를 좀 제공하고자 개비스 크로싱이라는 말이 나온 것 같습니다. 하지만 여러분 보셨죠? 우리는 분위기가 다릅니다. MSI에서, 리프트 라이벌스에서, 아시안 게임에서 LCK가 항상 끝판왕이 아니라는 것이 보여졌습니다.
Have you seen that blackbird?
지난 5번 연속해서 LCK가 월드 우승했습니다.
Down the line.
6번째, 한국에서 하는데
So blue.
당연히 우승해야죠. 팬들이 바로 옆에서 보실 텐데.
One at a time.
KT 같은 경우는 정말 우승하려고 최고 선수들만 모았어요. 아프리카는 탑솔로 기인이 보여준 그 하드캐리는 믿을 수 없어요. 작년 우승팀은 젠지입니다. 월드 시즌만 되면 그렇게 잘합니다. LCK가 과연 홈그라운드인 한국에서 6번째 우승을 차지할 수 있을지 아니면 새로운 왕좌가 탄생할지. 월드 참여하는 모든 팀들의 목표는 당연히 우승하는 겁니다. 트로피를 드는 거죠. 어떤 팀에게는 가능한 목표일 테고 어떤 팀에게는 꿈이고, 하지만 올해 같은 경우 저는 꽤 많은 팀들에게 그들의 꿈이 이루어질 수 있는 그런 월드라고 생각합니다.
이제 2018 월드 챔피언십 그룹 스테이지 첫 번째 게임에 나설 두 팀을 여러분께 소개해드리도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 NALCS 최고 성적에 빛나는 팀 리퀴드입니다. 타 임팩트 정글 엑스 메시 미드 포벨터 바텀 더블 리프트 끝으로 서포터 올레. 자, 이에 맞서는 팀 SK 탑세드 KT 롤스터입니다. 먼저 탑 슈맨 정길 스코어 미드 유칼 바텀에 데프트 그리고 서포트 마타. 자, 이렇게 첫 번째 매치에 나서는 두 팀 만나봤습니다. 자, 제가 들어가기 전에 이제 딱 한마디만 남겨뒀습니다. Only one thing left. 지난주에 했던 겁니다. Are you ready? Are you ready? Okay. Welcome to Summer's Left.
Thank you, Caster Jun. I am certainly ready. And welcome to Boost Out in the World's Group Stage. I'm Trevor Quickshot Henry, joined by Sam Kobe Hall McKenzie. That man's pretty excited.
Oh, it is my favorite time of the year, Quickshot. The start of Group Stage, when magic is in the air and all of the possibilities are still alive.
Well, we have to find out how the drama will unfold, but we're getting ready for picks and bans. So, Kobe, I want to throw you straight into the deep end. Let's talk about one of my favorite players on the KT Rolster side, Smeb. Let's talk about him back on the world stage, set some expectations, because as you can see with his stats on screen, he has been a killer in the LCK.
Yeah, he has been an absolute beast in the top lane, and this is a good guy to bring up because this matchup in the top lane versus Team Liquid and Impact is one of the most lopsided of this series. Smeb absolutely dominating through the laning phase. As you said, his stats are great. Meanwhile, Impact, known for playing a lot of tanks, and even though he has tried to combat that a little bit and has played some damage dealers, his lane stats still have not really been able to rebound from that. And that plays right into what KT Rolster want to do to win this matchup, which is have winning solo lane to let Score do what he wants.
Let's talk about Score a little bit. You can see KT Rolster setting up on stage, getting ready for their opening game of the World's Run, returning to the stage. First time since 2015, they've got their LCK title under their belt, and Score finally won an LCK championship. You know, is he undoubtedly the best jungler at this tournament?
I think so, and a lot of people would concur, but there are arguments to make for other great junglers that are here. But Score, I mean, you talked about it. He finally was able to win his championship. He was lauded as the greatest player never to win one in Korea. He's got that checked off, but again, now the next goal is obviously to win Worlds with this squad, and it starts here today with game number 1 versus Team Liquid. Their entire season has been a really strong early game for KT Rolster, and Score being able to control the enemy jungler, eliminate opportunities that the enemy would want to go for before they even get to that stage.
And of course, you're talking about the season. Analyst Desk did mention it earlier that this is the first game that KT Rolster played in 2 months. They've played one best of 5. You know, there was that break over in the LCK thanks to the Asian Games. Let's turn our attention to Team Liquid. Their season was interesting, I think, peaking at the right times, you know, towards playoffs to take the finals. But what is this team, the North American representatives, going to have to do to fend off one of the pre-tournament favorites in KT Rolster?
It is going to be very scary for Team Liquid because they are going to have to worry about, you know, strong laning phase and early game coming from KT Rolster. But Team Liquid, their bread and butter, their recipe for success has been a standard team fight composition, you know, with 2 tanks for the front line, double lift on an late game all-star AD carry, and having Pope Belter play a fairly supportive mid lane. At times going for things like the Aurelia and trying to get a different point of power to work with, but that has generally been what we expect from them in Champion Select, is to draft around double lift and play around him.
Well, let's see if Team Liquid have any surprises up their sleeves, or if we're going with what we've come to know and love from Team Liquid. Game 1 of the group stage, picks and bans, is underway, and straight out the gate, KT Rolster taking away the Scion. Kobe, what else should we anticipate and expect as we go forward?
I do think that it's smart from KT Rolster to target Impact in the top lane and take away some of the extremely strong tanks that have been universally picked here, because KT Rolster, as we said, do have the possibility of showing new things. You said we've only seen one best of 5 in 2 months from this team. So we're hoping that maybe we'll see some interesting top lane counter picks. There have been some adjustments to Fiora, Darius, things like that. And if they can whittle down Impact's champion pool a little bit, they could try and take advantage of that matchup.
And of course, we know Smeb can absolutely play into that style, and whether or not Impact's going to be willing to throw down the gauntlet. Red side here for Team Liquid have some counter pick options and some play-in favorites that we saw a lot of. The Tom Kent, the Alistar, they're banned away, as well as now the Olaf, taking that off the table from KT.
And that is pretty big here, because Team Liquid and Smithy have been able to use Olaf for a lot of early game control. And that's going to be one area that they do look to attack. Meanwhile, from Team Liquid side, taking away the Alistar, banning it from Mata, is almost to me like a legacy ban against him, regardless of how good Alistar is in the meta right now. Double Lift has personal history with Mata at Worlds. In 2016, Mata was the one, they were both on different teams, to destroy him with Alistar engages over and over again. And Double Lift said afterwards in the interview that he hadn't even thought that a player would be crazy enough to pull off those plays against him. And that ban coming through, I think, will give him a bit more security, a bit more ease of mind.
A little bit of breathing room, but Kobe, it means that Urgot, that Aatrox are still up and available. First pick, KT Rolster have locked in the Xayah, and the response from TL so far, Urgot.
I like this interesting first pick from KT Rolster because there are so many high priority champions left up. First pick from KT Rolster because there are so many high priority champions left up. They're kind of threatening the Xayah combo without having to commit too much to it so early here. And it's a little bit, you have to feel like that's a bait. Because they left open the possibility of Team Liquid splitting it up, and Team Liquid have done so. They've gone for Urgot, as you said, which has been, you know, especially considering play-ins, risen to almost #1 champion in League of Legends at the moment as far as playing from the top side.
If it was a bait, thrown out, going fishing, a Thresh locked in for Mata.
Now the question is,
so exciting.
Will he use his Samsung white skin, the skin that he got for winning the World Championship and the skin that he got MVP of the World Championship on?
Well, Papa Smithy was talking about it in the World's Top 20, and Mata went on the record to say that he did not feel he was playing to the level of his skinned former self. If it is locked in for this game, maybe that's a confidence message being sent to the rest of the field here. Aatrox Thresh locked in. Kai'Sa is secured for double lift. We're entering phase 2. Which lanes will be targeted?
Well, it looks like so far we have gone according to plan for both teams here, Trevor. KT have decided to take the more carry-oriented half of splitting the Urgot Aatrox deal, whereas Team Liquid, we talked about it. They want that late game carry for double lift. The Kai'Sa locked in early before the second ban phase was very important. Meanwhile, the Urgot has been very, very good for helping players in the lane phase if that's not a strong area. And yes, Urgot can go mid lane as well, but I kind of expect that to go to Impact up on the top side. As you said though, looking forward, we're banning out some of the solo lanes here, trying to target Yukal there with the Taliyah. He's been extremely proficient on it. Meanwhile, jungle bans have not been locked in, so they're still coming through.
Right, if you were to decide what direction will the jungle go, you know, Skarner's off the table, Taliyah's off the table. Just trying to think of some of the other picks that I've seen recently. I mean,
Nocturne is still available.
Kindred's up, Nocturne's up. What direction do these teams think based on the picks we've already seen?
Well, Kindred's definitely super high priority right now, but again, if they're leaving it up all the way till the last round, Phaser, you gotta feel like they're gonna try some sort of super hard engage onto him, because that would leave a little bit squishy here as far as the overall team composition. But Kindred definitely very high priority right now, and one of those offensive junglers that people have been looking towards. Gragas is one of the ones where you look to counter a Kindred. So maybe they were leaving that one up. Gragas, you go in with the body slam flash, you have the barrel with your ultimate to try and knock people off of Kindred ultimates.
And arguably one of xSmithy's most comfortable picks as well. Many, many years of experience on that champion. 8 seconds left. There's a Kindred hover. There's a bit of counter synergy going into that Gragas.
A lot of people want to see score on Kindred, and ye are going to get it. Now, he can use the early range advantage. You get a red buff first, then try and control Scuttle Crabs with this champion. As we said, KT Rolster want to use strong laning performers with strong laning matchups to allow their jungler to control the game.
Yep.
What better jungle champion than one that stacks up marks over the course of the game where they have control, you know, of the neutral territory? So that looks to be the way that KT are going to try and open up World's group stage.
Oh, Kobe, KT Rolster have got themselves a very, very strong early game. Team Liquid round out the composition with the Rise. So let's look at these two comps. We've already touched on the fact that KT Rolster have got those strong lanes, both top, middle, and arguably bottom as well, especially into the Kai'Sa. So what Team Liquid are going to have to do, pay attention to make sure they don't get rolled over in the first 15 minutes.
It is going to have to be score tracking for the early stages here. It's good for Team Liquid that they did get Poe Belter this Rise as far as his matchup here versus Yukal on the Syndra in the mid lane. But he's going to have to be very careful, you know, about stuns landing early on and about any sort of jungle mid tandem action.
Oh, very tough stuff. As of course you mentioned that Rise. 4-0 is Poe Belter in the summer split. Let's see if he can help pick up a win here as the coaches are about to shake hands for the first game of World's Groups.
All right. There it is, quick shot.
As Costa June said, welcome to Summoner's Rift. It's KT Rolster taking on Team Liquid. And this is going to start to answer some questions, start to see how the boot camp has helped all of the respective teams. And more importantly, on the side of KT Rolster, can they start to deliver on years and years of hype? Years and years of failing to deliver when it mattered most. They just won their first title in the LCK, and they're on the world's stage with something to prove, Kobe.
And nobody knows that better than Score himself, one of the founding members, been on KT Rolster for upwards of 6 years, working towards this moment where they face off versus North America's greatest team, the #1 seed, Team Liquid.
Oh, there we go. We're finally on to Summoner's Rift. Welcome to World's Groups, ladies and gentlemen. We'll jump back into the screen in a moment. And of course, there's a lot of history on the KT Rolster side. And if you look at the players of Team Liquid, a lot of individual history. But both of these teams were built in their respective regions as quote-unquote super teams. They were built to win championships. They were built to be competitive on the world stage. And we're seeing it now, maybe, really, for the first time in their organization's history.
This is an amazing first game matchup to have because KT Rolster, after last year not making the World Championship, decided to stick together. Each of these players is an all-star player that could have made much more money by selling out and spreading out across the world. But they decided to stick together on KT Rolster to win the World Championship, to raise the Summoners Cup. Uh-oh, Doublelift is getting close to a brush that has people in it.
He's been caught up by the Flay, takes a lot of damage from Mata and from Dev, dropping very, very low. Ole's come in, and Doublelift's already used that flash. So Summoner Spell blown. If the laning phase wasn't difficult enough, this just complicates the matter.
And Deft is having fun already. Gets the laugh at Doublelift, and you can see there, he just moved the minions, grouped them up a little bit to try and get the lane pushing away from Doublelift. He knows he has the health lead in lane, so he groups them up just ever so slightly to get them to try and focus fire and deny minions to Team Liquid.
And of course, Doublelift already used this consumable, sticking around in lane. Score is making a drive-by.
Exactly what we said, trying to have the game open up here for Score. Their all-star jungler with a pushing lane. Smithy is going to use the blast cone and jump over. He's seen the ward, he knows he's there.
All right, so Smithy definitely going to spot out Score. Score is not completely back because Mata's coming up to support him. Sticking around on the Sentinel. Smithy realizing now he's in a numbers disadvantage. And Score with the first successful invade. Kobe, we were talking before this game about how Score's style benefits KT Rolster, and this is just a crystal clear example of how he intends to play the rest of the game.
Yeah, junglers across the world love watching Score get to work. One of the things that you can notice within his jungle paths is that he'll oftentimes quickly identify what the next goal of his opponent would be and get his team to also set up so that he can deny those goals. As you can see now, he has a mark on the top side. He's just got a quick glimpse, I think, of Smithy here, who is still level 2 and only the red buff on Gragas. So full control already taken by Score off of their winning bottom lane that he used to go for that invade, and he will get both Scuttle Crabs on Kindred, one of the most snowbally jungle champions that we have in the game, already with 1 stack.
Both Scuttles denied a blue, got nearly a full clear on his side as well, so this is a great start for KT Rolster. Combine that with the fact that Doublelift had to blow his flash early on in the game, and it's just a great start for the LCK representatives.
So Team Liquid now, they need to focus on trying to stem the bleeding here. They've already got a CS deficit in bottom lane due to the big health chunk that they were afforded by Doublelift moving close to the brush. They're utilizing that extremely well here too. No recall there taken by Doublelift. They're going to keep him in lane. But Team Liquid, they need to play off of a fairly defensive mindset right now, considering Kindred here, Score already level 4, and he will look to continue to control the neutral areas.
All right, let's keep our eyes on decision-making. Of course, bottom lane, a lot of action happening around there as well as blue. We caught a quick glimpse of Pobalta and Yukal just going toe-to-toe, as well as Impact placing that ward. Yukal, the youngest player of Worlds 2018, definitely one of the stars to keep an eye on, and looking to see whether or not nerves get to this guy, because everybody else in this roster is so experienced and has years of games and pressure under their belts. But Yukal, this is now his first game at World Championship.
Yeah, Yukal, one of those guys that they talked a lot about in solo queue, a lot of hype behind him as far as very quick mechanics, and you know, trying to raise him on the LCK stage has gone very well for KT Rolster. And as we were kind of saying before, most League of Legends pros dream of raising the Summoners Cup. But KT Rolster was a team designed to do it. Smithy's on the bottom side.
Oh, very good flash off to the body slam. Oh, they got it! Knockup connects. Death goes down. First blood, Ole.
And Smithy, no stranger to the world stage himself, a veteran jungler, untiltable, makes his way to the bottom side on Gragas and uses the flash there to guarantee that they get the kill. But could there be an answer?
All right, there's no flash on Doublelift. He's got around 300 hit points. There's the flash to play. Knockup used onto Mata. Teleport coming down. Mata's still a focus. Manages to go down. Doublelift gets a second kill of World's Group for Team Liquid. Score's now being dived underneath the tower. Pobalt is backing away after aggro. And KT Rolster lose 2 in the bot lane.
Team Liquid with a huge power play here. Now, look what it cost them. It did take a large chunk of Pobelter's health, and he is going to lose out on a cannon minion wave in mid lane, having used his teleport. But look how worth it will be. Smithy starts it all off. He goes in there with the Predator, cuts off the escape path from Depth, and Depth does not get a mouse click in between that large champion. Oh, never mind, top side.
All right, gotta quickly jump up to the top. Passive popped. They're on the side of Smeb. Here comes Yukal. Takes down Impact. Smeb survives. And also interesting, just tiny note, Mata's not using Samsung White Thresh.
Well, probably a good one after that, as they both died bottom. But look, that was the answer from KT Rolster. The repercussions of your top laner, or your mid laner, teleporting down to the bottom side and spending an extra resource there to protect Team Liquid's win condition of double lift does cost Impact his life, because he doesn't back off, as they know that the mid lane then has priority for KT Rolster and Yukal to roam up to the top side.
Yeah, Yukal is now 50 CS to 38, and here's a replay of the initial fight that then allowed Yukal to get the kill.
And this could go two ways. You could say, hey, the team didn't communicate very well to Impact, or it's just on Impact taking that fight. But if your mid laner just went bottom and everybody else on your team is recalling, as the Urgot, you cannot take that fight in the middle of the top lane, knowing that there's a possibility of the enemy mid laner showing up in your lane, as he did, and getting that kill for himself. Now there's a Syndra with a kill and a giant CS lead to worry about in the mid lane.
Already in a matchup that was fairly favored, early on. This is a good sign. Gold is still bang on even, and Team Liquid is a very good play out of Xmithie, showing they've got some moves early on. I want to quickly talk about that top lane matchup, Smeb versus Impact. We talked about some of the mismatch, Impact being that tank player in air quotes, and Smeb being somebody that you sort of expect to throw down some of these carries. But if we look at some of the stats and the CSD differences, Smeb +8, Impact -6, kill participation still fairly high for Impact, hence the tank player, etc. But break down the matchup for me a little more.
Yeah, I mean, those stats all come from the regular season here for these guys. And Smeb, as you're saying, this is the type of player who can play very damage-heavy champions for the team, and KT Rolster has played that way, whereas Impact, now, in the present game, he's on Urgot, and we've seen already how strong of a lane phase Urgot can have, and Impact playing it well up there into the Aatrox. That one's usually going about 50-50, as we're seeing here. So bottom side, though, is going to be the attention. Score has moved down with Yukal, and they're looking at the Team Liquid bottom lane.
Oh, thank you so much for the vision toggle observers. It just builds the tension. Team Liquid, they had that control ward in the Tribush, which has since been replaced, and you can see KT Rolster pushing all of that Riverside vision. That's a flash forward from Yukal onto Pobelter, manages to get the stun. Here comes Score as well. Pobelter starts to channel the realm warp, drops down, gets out, but the burn is not enough. Pobelter with the fancy feet.
He's able to chug his potion. Time Warp Tonic with the corrupting potion keeps him alive, but on the top side, will Impact have the same luck?
Oh, let's find out. Impact has already used the ulti, and Smeb was trying to chase Impact, realizing he can't win that fight. Team Liquid, they fend off the aggressive play.
You can see how much damage came out of that Syndra ultimate with the kill. Got the Sorcerer's Boots for himself and the extra early magic penetration. Yukal also, you want to ult first, so there are a lot of orbs on the ground, then you get an AoE stun, shooting all of those out, so Pobelter couldn't dodge a stun, but he was able to realm warp himself out with some fancy footwork afterwards. Smithy onto the bottom side does find himself on a ward.
All right, manages to sidestep the hook, or the prediction missed, matter of opinion. Double Lift's going to get some alone time on this bottom turret. Picked himself up that pickaxe after the kill secured earlier, still down around 13 CS, and into depth with double longswords and BF. It's going to be a challenge, but here's a replay of Pobelter's escape.
Also, I like the beginning of this replay because we just showed multiple control wards in the river that allow them to make this rotation. There's the stun that we talked about. Then Pobelter runs out, dodges that Q, back into the Realm Warp, and because he was chugging the potion the entire time, does survive. During the replay, Team Liquid, though, clearing out those control wards that we mentioned, setting up the dragon and taking Ocean.
I absolutely love hearing the crowd in Busan. The gasps of terror / fear / excitement at Pobelter's escape because of the play, the pressure that Xmithie was able to exert down the bottom lane. Team Liquid pick up the first dragon of the game. It is Ocean. We're still in a fairly healthy laning phase, so the value of that dragon is going to be very useful for the Team Liquid squad that is now roughly 1,000 gold down.
Yeah, this has been such an interesting lane phase here because of the early commitment of Pobelter to the bottom side and because of the face check that started it all off with a health deficit for Team Liquid. They are behind a lot in CS throughout this map, and that's what's giving KT Rolster the gold lead, even though Team Liquid have the extra kill and they have been able to get the Dragon.
All right, so Kobe, let's look forward into the future, the next 10 or 15 minutes. Well, let's hold that thought as Mata's going to come up to clear this control ward.
Yeah, these are world-class players, Trevor. You don't get to look 10, 15 minutes in the future. You got to keep your eye on the ball.
I am trying to, but I want to know where the ball will be. That's my expectation. Yeah, Mata, the rest of KT, they're going fishing. They're looking for some targets. Ole got himself that splash available and dancing on the edge of safety there, but no engage yet from KT. So what do KT want to do to unlock? Obviously this Aatrox, Syndra, Xayah, they're going to come into their own just a little bit earlier than some of the Team Liquid options.
They do have quite a few options. I think a lot of them do center around trying to continue to deny the Team Liquid bottom lane as much as they can. That was the early game plan. You know, they were able to get off the health lead, and then they also had Score Visit early on. However, it's going to be about burst damage coming from UCal on his next purchase. I don't believe that he is... Oh, actually, he did. He was able to get his tome in, so he has a little bit of extra oomph for it as well. Pobelter, you can see, he was forced to get some early magic resistance in those Mercury treads to try and avoid that kill potential from the possibility of ultimates coming through. And you can see that Smithy... Xmithy here has done a good job playing defense for the bottom lane of Team Liquid. As we said, they almost always want to play around double lift, get the Kai'Sa that much more fed so their team fighting can take over. In the course of the North American LCS in the regular season, over 40% of Team Liquid's kills came from team fights alone. They want to be able to get double lift powerful so they can group up and fight 5-5.
Well, so far Team Liquid have done all right to get to that point. You know, Smithy, as you mentioned, fending off the invade, double scuttles for Score early. Double lift lost his flash early. It hasn't cost him too much. The only person who's struggling a tiny bit is Pobelter at that minus 20 CS, but you've seen how many times KT Rolster have sent members to that mid lane. Now there are some potential shenanigans on the horizon as Smeb looked like there was some members of Team Liquid closing in. But as of yet, KT, they are looking for opportunities. They are looking for ways to jump onto Team Liquid, and Team Liquid are not providing them yet.
All right, on the top side though, Impact might provide.
Yes, he will. That's the flash already used by Impact. I was waiting for those chains to come down from Smeb, and with Score in the wings. Rinse and repeat in a few minutes. Maybe that'll be a dead over.
It's very important information though. That's why we're saying you have to keep your eye on the ball every second in these games. Score being top lets Team Liquid know that they could have an extra person on the bottom side, but they're chafed off by Deft and Mata early on. Maybe they'll rotate over to the turret to try and get some early damage here. First turret gold bonus is still available in a very big objective.
And keep an eye on your minimap. UCal and Score made their way down from the middle lane. This is a 3 versus 4 at best. Impact has not got his teleport available because he just returned to lane. The moment that red buff was spotted, that the steal was on the cards, KT instantly moved Score and UCal down into their jungle, but Team Liquid doing a good job. They've still pushed that vision deep into the bottom quadrant of the minimap, and Pobelter once again in trouble. Scatter the Weak comes down, as well as that unleashed power for an easy solo kill to UCal.
Yeah, Pobelter's Merc Treads, not enough magic resistance for him to survive this time around, and UCal is starting to rack them up. 2 kills on this Syndra now. The burst damage is going to be very big, and he will be aiming for double lift or Ole later in the game. One of the things about Syndra is that she can be a very big counter to Rakan once you do get to those later stages. Look at that very nice stun there for UCal though. He didn't have to use his ultimate early to start it off, and then he had 2 orbs already on the ground. So it's great that he was able to add the extra damage for the kill with his ultimate coming through. Pobelter though, after that, is able to purchase to get back out onto the field.
Well, with the exception of Pobelter, almost everybody's got their first sort of big ticket item completed. Black Cleavers for your top laners, your jungle items for Score and Xmithy. Of course, we've got the Storm Razors and Rage Blade picked up for double lift. In fact, is jumped in here by Smith, gets pulled backwards by the Infernal Chains, but there's support from Xmithy to back him up.
And look at that, just that back up here from Smeb, not over chasing, not tunneling, because there was Smithy and Pobelter roaming up to help Impact, he doesn't overcommit. He already won the trade and doesn't want to chase too far and give away anything there for KT Rolster. But I like what you're doing here and picking up the possibility of bigger skirmishes now. So we should probably set up how some of these can take place, because the Dragon is on its way, and it's about to occur here, actually.
Oh, let's take a look at this. Storm Mata going to clear out the control ward. 10 seconds until Infernal Drake, and look at the positioning. Cobelter and Xmithy are nearby, but they're somewhat split from Double Ethanol.
All right, so some big players you want to keep your eyes on from Team Liquid side are going to be Xmithy and Ole. Both of these players have their flashes available and have explosive engaged champions. However, as we mentioned before, Syndra with the long stun and the AoE knockback and burst damage could be a big counter to either of those. Infernal's been started out, and they're going to go for it.
All right, Probelt is north of the fight. Mata's coming in from the south. Team Liquid now seems to be somewhat grouped up.
Score's going to go for it.
Already being channeled by Smith. Team Liquid get the Infernal. Death Sentence manages to catch onto Ole. He's stuck inside the box. Ucal takes him down for the killing spree, and now Score stays alive thanks to Lamb's Respite. Impact is in so much trouble, caught inside the pit, but they trade 1-for-1, and Team Liquid get the Dragon.
2 kills here. Go over to the side of KT Rolster so they get more gold and more map pressure. So we have to see what will the ramifications be as far as the map play. But Team Liquid very happy to secure that Infernal Drake for themselves for later. It looks like the map play is going to be focused on bottom and mid, and the turrets will go down.
Oh, Probelt has got flash available to him, and will find himself now conceding the first tower. That's already a 2,500 gold lead to KT. The bottom tower has also been hammered away on. That's 50% down. KT, they are in control of the game. Let's catch a glimpse of the replay.
Yeah, let's take another look at this one, because it's very close, and it seems like a bit of a split call from Team Liquid, whereas KT were pretty clear as far as being on the same page, going all in for the fight. Team Liquid split between retreat and going for the kill. Impact, having gone in there, he is Urgot, so he's able to time his ultimate very, very effectively and closely there with the Kindred ultimate to secure his counter kill as he goes down, allowing Team Liquid to get one for themselves. Now this extra turret going down for them does keep the gold relatively close with having the added advantage of the Dragons, but KT Rolster are already threatening to take this lead and push it further. Bottom tower slow and Rift Herald's already going down.
Yeah, and if you look at the minimap, you can see Impact in that top lane. His tower's going very low as well. Kobe, we saw the stats at 15 minutes. KT Rolster had a lead of around 650 gold. It's around about the same value they had in the LCK. And when KT have a lead of 15 minutes, they are 27 wins and 4 losses. This is not a team that concedes an advantage very frequently. They've been able to extend that. However, Team Liquid have got a lot of scaling on their side, and they're still competitive. Down 1,500. They've got 2 dragons for some late game insurance, and they're definitely putting up a fight against KT Rolster.
KT Rolster, they have a very strong set of utility picks available to themselves. So even though they don't have a pure tank, Aatrox with the ultimate, as well as Kindred with their ultimate, are able to buy a lot of time in team fights if there's good positioning. Smithy, though, he won't have any time.
At that damage, he is going to survive a lot longer than I expected. Eventually, Ukala gets involved, doesn't get the assist, though, and that's just a free kill secure to KT Rolster.
And one of the other things, Ole actually is going to get cornered here. Will he be okay? Puts down his control ward and is going to be able to tell Doublelift to pull off his recall. So one of the other things in evaluating who was the winner of one of these team fights, like that dragon fight, is what sort of vision was left behind afterwards. Because KT Rolster had the extra member, because they were the ones to get the run of the maps for those next 20 seconds while Team Liquid are dead, they also left behind a bunch of wards in the Team Liquid jungle. Very deep there, allowing them to get that pick onto Smithy much further down the line. So a little bit of a domino effect. As they find that kill, they found another turret for themselves, and the gold lead increases.
And you can see the moment the bottom outer turret is secured, KT Rolster send their duo towards the top. Deft has already recalled, picked himself up that rapid fire cannon to complement the Storm Razor, and that bottom turret, top lane turret rather, for Team Liquid is very low on hit points, as Impact is doing what he can to continue to farm up to become this monster of a bruiser, you know.
And the next steps are already showing themselves. Team Liquid trying to clear out the deep vision that KT Rolster have already placed, but with their last outer turret about to go down, as you alluded to here on the top side, the map is about to get much more scary for them, and they're going to have to be reactive to KT Rolster's lane assignment, which makes the game fairly difficult to play when you're facing this much damage on the opponent team. So now it's going to be about how quickly can Team Liquid react to these KT Rolster moves, and will they be able to transition successfully? Because KT Rolster are the best in the business about pushing these ahead and closing the map in on the enemy team so that there are few options for them to do in the mid-game.
Oh, and you can see already Def just getting in the face of Impact, throwing out those feathers. The majority of KT Rolster were making their way towards the top half of the map. They've littered a number of control wards in the river in front of Baron. And they haven't ventured into the Team Liquid jungle just yet. But Def will deny as many CS as he can before he backs away. Impact finds himself down 30 against his opposite number. Cobalt has been able to pick up some, still down 10. And that is plus the towers, leading to KT Rolster having this 3,000 gold lead at 21 minutes.
Yeah, as you can see, Team Liquid have transferred into a 1-3-1 here, which is very classic when you have a Rise. As your mid laner, they send Pobelter to the bottom lane because this champion is very mobile and can clear the waves very quickly, while they transition Doublelift and Ole to the mid lane to put more of that mid-game farm into their late-game carry of the Kai'Sa. As you said, though, this is KT Rolster in the driver's seat. They're the ones with the 3-0 Syndra here with incredible burst potential. And multiple people on Team Liquid have to respect this champion and have to watch out for those long-range stuns. That could be the end of any one of these players, as we say, they're walking.
I saw you hold your breath there, like Pobelter. What is he doing?
Close enough, but you can see Team Liquid are all grouping up because the dragon is on the way.
It's another Infernal Drake. Team Liquid are grouped. Teleport is just available for Smeb in a moment or two, and the Infernal Dragon will be another point of contention.
You can see KT Rolster are using their advantage right now to push up the top lane, get the minions moving, and try and delay Team Liquid in starting up this objective. All those minions will be their advantage. Teleport comes in, they're gonna fight!
All right, Infernal Dragon's going incredibly low. Picked up by Team Liquid, that's the second of the game. Xmoothie gets chunked down. Let somebody heal, keeps him alive a few seconds longer. Long range death sentence connects up to Impact, and look at the lantern. It brings KT Rolster all the way to Team Liquid. Pobelter's running for his life. KT Rolster get 3 kills, but lose a dragon.
That's gonna be the Baron! They don't care about dragons, they're getting the kills here. Then that was 3 members of Team Liquid that go down for the Infernal Drake. KT Rolster with a Baron buff won't leave any of these outer towers standing. Now they move incredibly quickly right over to the objective, and they should be able to secure it.
And it all starts with forcing Team Liquid's hand, shoving that wave top, shoving that wave middle. Team Liquid opted into the Infernal Drake. Yes, they got that objective, but they've lost the fight, and more importantly, they've lost Baron Nashor.
Name of the game for Team Liquid now is defense. It's all about their defense. Can they withstand a Baron power play from a KT Rolster squad that is up 5,000 gold at the moment? Doublet's trying to squeeze a couple more CS out of the recall timers here before they have to reset.
And of course, this Baron play is brought to you by Afreeca Freecs.
All right, so there you go. You can see, yeah, Smithy, he once again lands the smite, gets the objective for his team, but he goes down for it, as well as Ole trying to protect him, and Mata lands the thresh hook, lassos Impact to secure a 3rd kill for KT Rolster in payment for that dragon. If Team Liquid could have gotten away with just 1 member dying for that Infernal Drake, then they probably could have threatened to stop any sort of counter there from KT, but 3 members going down guarantees this power play for KT Rolster. And with a level 16 now on that Fed Syndra quick shot, this is going to be an insane ultimate. 5 kills, he might just be able to press R on someone.
5-0-2, the gameplay button in that Unleashed Power ultimate will just obliterate anybody on Team Liquid. 5 kills to UCal, it's a 5,000 gold lead to KT Rolster. They've got Baron for another 2 minutes. And this is sort of what I was expecting from this team composition from KT Rolster. Team Liquid, they need a lot more time to get the scaling in their favor and to circumvent the deficit they find themselves in.
Exactly. The hope for Team Liquid is to try and defend this Baron buff with as few losses as possible because they do have great scaling for themselves, especially with the 2 Infernals added on. They're actually going offensive on Smeb here.
All right, take a look. Killer Instinct goes in. Smeb should just get run down here, and Fear Beyond Death will pop the passive. But look at the mini-map. There's pressure in the top lane. KT Rolster will be able to push onto the inhibitor turret. They will secure this shortly.
Yes, Smeb goes down, but Team Liquid are going to lose an inhibitor turret here. Recalls go off, but KT Rolster are able to exit afterwards.
KT Rolster going to take another tower in the mid lane inner. That's 6 towers secured already. Now 8 kills to 4, and the map absolutely belongs to KT Rolster. Yes, they conceded 1 kill, but they're getting the important objectives, and that matters much more when you're looking towards the Nexus kill.
Yeah, KT Rolster looking to take down as many turrets as possible while they do have the buff. It was a good little counterpunch there from Team Liquid to get a kill back from themselves. But again, yeah, so much on the top side of the map has been opened up, and you can see how deep the KT Rolster vision does go. They left a bunch of control wards up in the top red quadrant of Team Liquid's jungle to allow them to confine Team Liquid to a much smaller area once again and limit the resources that can come in.
Of course, if Team Liquid can protect this inhibitor, they have survived the Baron battle. Yes, they are in a fairly monumental deficit, but they do still have some very, very good picks on their side. And when you look at Gragas and you look at a Rakan, the pick potential when you combo with Realm Warp as well as double as Killer Instinct, there are outplay potential. We've seen it time and time again from these specific champions.
There is a lot of skill difference here between Gragas and Rakan. A lot of explosive possibilities for champions like this, where you can get an explosive engage, catch people off guard, and the next 8 minutes of this game are going to be extremely telling. Either KT Rolster are able to push it ahead, and they're going to close in on Team Liquid and be able to finish it out, or Team Liquid will be able to defend, survive until double lift on the Kai'Sa. We'll be able to take over some team fights, and they can 5v5 more properly. A lot of that is going to depend on clearing out enemy vision. And as you can see here with the vision toggle, Team Liquid have been able to sort of carve out some defensive areas for themselves. KT Rolster, though, grouping up on bottom side, looking to get the last outer.
Problem is, there's a lot of gaps in that vision.
There is.
Mata was sitting in the middle of Team Liquid's jungle, and there was no vision to spot him out. Their sentence goes out, doesn't find a target, but the tower will fall.
So Team Liquid are making a trade here. This is the last trade that they can make without giving up another inhibitor turret. They take an outer turret with Rise split push from Pobelter, while KT Rolster get the last outer. And that is some more gold for Team Liquid to try and scale up with. They're actually committing, and Pobelter continuing the split push while they hold him off.
Yeah, Pobelter still got that summoner teleport in his back pocket if he was needed to join for a fight. There's only a Cloud Drake to contest, so if you're in Team Liquid,
Smeb's getting close
to get rid of that one. And Smeb, does he go left or does he go right? Decides to go left. That means he will not find and catch out Pobelter. And Smeb didn't have his teleport available. A few seconds of cooldown left for that one. So Team Liquid, they have just about survived that Baron power play. The next one is up in 2 minutes time, and it looks like they will concede this dragon if KT rush it, but they're not going for it just yet.
Well, already Team Liquid moving into some dangerous area here. Once again, you can see how many pockets of the Fog of War are available, and any of those could contain KT members because they don't see any on the map. They should assume that they're taking the dragon, but you have to be very scared when there are champions that can pick you off. A Thresh and a Syndra are prime champions to pick off kills on anyone looking to face check Thresh. Long range stun from Syndra, long range hook from Thresh, and they'll be able to last you from there.
Such an exciting start for UCal here in the World Championships. We mentioned it a few moments ago, 5-0-2. Because of this Syndra performance as we get to 30 minutes, Double's third item is a Banshee's Veil. He needs to get some MR, needs to try and mitigate at least one of those spells ever so slightly. And of course, fortunately, he's on a champion where it still benefits the kids.
And I do like Banshee's Veil as a purchase for AP Kai'Sa builds. Yes, the Zhonya's is extremely popular, and it can allow you to buy some time in a team fight if there is a valuable composition around you for a reset. But Banshees can deny one of those insta-kill long-range stuns or CCs that we talked about if he's got it available, and one of those comes out from a brush or from a Fog of War, then it can deny that for them. We'll see, though, because a couple of more key items coming through, and it looks like KT Rolster moving out to the Baron to set up 25 seconds on the spawn.
Pobelt is in a little bit of trouble as Score and Yukal chase him down, although the damage he got onto Score was significant. Score still very squishy, unless he's got Smeb or Marta around to distract. Baron priority and control is still with KT Rolster. You can see the mid lane is pushed towards Team Liquid, and KT shoving top as they re-secure vision in the area.
We're almost at that breaking point. Quick shot. Baron has spawned. KT Rolster have over a 7,000 gold lead and control of Baron with the vision and the champions to make the pick. So this is the scariest time for Team Liquid as they try and fight the vision wars around Baron while also simultaneously trying to keep the side waves in motion for themselves so that KT do not close in on them. Look at the mini-map. You can see there, Smeb is still split pushing on the Aatrox in the bottom lane, but Team Liquid are counter pushing up mid.
Oh, the vision is so nerve-wracking. Smithy's just waiting in the wings, looking for an opportunity. As the mid lane tower gets chunked out but not killed. Team Liquid, they're playing with limited information. Keep glancing down the bottom right of the mini-map. They are in a deficit. Their base is open. Baron is being threatened, and KT now being shoved backwards. Here comes Smith from the side lane. He can throw down those infernal chains. I'm waiting to see if he can catch anybody. It will look like it secures onto Impact. Impact is in so much trouble. Smith goes golden, but Impact is already down. 5 versus 4 for the next few minutes. And Team Liquid simply caught out.
Critical error there. Team Liquid out in the open, and KT Rolster just runs straight through. Smeb on the Aatrox gets a great knockup for them, and that's going to be Inhibitor Turret.
Oh, here comes Mata. Goes for the flash death sentence. Will not find the target, though. But take a look at Smithy's caught out. He goes golden, caught inside the middle of KT Rolster. But it's Ole that gets blown up and obliterated. Defensive flash from Pobelter. He's trying to escape on the back end, and Pobelter's doing what he can. Look at that double lift. Jumps on to Yukal. Will not be able to pick up the kill. He's blown up by Death. The next inhibitor is the focus. KT Rolster pick 1 kill up and turn their attention to the base.
And that is going to be a KT Rolster now on the Nexus turrets with only 2 members surviving.
Smith is trying to do what he can, but Death will look to solo up Pobelter. A death sentence helps him out. KT Rolster ace Team Liquid, take down the Nexus turrets, turn their attention onto Impact for one last time. Looks like they will pad their stats. 1 additional kill. For just a moment or two as the Infernal Chains pull him backwards. KT Rolster take down Team Liquid for their first win at Worlds 2018.
Great way to start it off for the KT Rolster squad, the team designed to win Worlds. Push it through.